Hi, welcome to Batch Cook Live. I'm Sarah, and today we are making buffalo chicken dip. So this is specifically in honor of the Super Bowl next week, and I don't remember the last one I watched, but I love the food. It's it's one of our culture's great holidays, so we're keeping it classic with buffalo chicken, but this one is it's shareable, which is maybe not perfect in this environment, but it's good. And we're using ground chicken, not like rotisserie or whole chicken, so that helps keep it fast. We're gonna melt a couple of tablespoons of butter because we're gonna cook some vegetables. There's vegetables in this dip, so you don't have to feel terrible about it. And this one is actually from my test kitchen days. There's a full-on real recipe that should be in the comments, yeah?
Yes.
My partner Seth over there, as always. So yeah, this time there's an actual full-on, it's not just me figuring it out and winging it. There's an actual recipe that ran as part of a dip story. It was 25 dips, so it was just all about dips, and this was one of the ones that had meat in it. But so this time you can actually follow along. But what I've thrown into a food processor is shallot, celery, and carrots. So that's our veggie mix. Obviously, I did this so that you could see it, get an idea for how much, but just chuck it all in there at the same time because it's all going in the pan at the same time. So you don't have to do little pretty bowls of individual vegetables. But for clarity's sake, that's what we get. So yeah, these are going in, and that's a little warm. I can see my butter is browning, which is not going to taste bad, but I'll turn that down. And you do whatever the recipe says, because I actually tested that, and it got tested by another cook in a test kitchen. But here, we're just going for, softened. And the reason that everything is so small is that we want these flavors because, when you get buffalo chicken wings, you usually get carrot and celery, but we also want it to just become part of the matrix of the dip. Like I said, we're going to use ground chicken, and so it's going to be small, piecey, and so this works really well, but it also means that you don't have to do much work for it, which is great. You don't want a dip to be hard. So yeah, just chuck all this in a food processor and you're good to go. So this will be a few minutes, and then we're gonna add some salt. The salt that is on our page, because I worked it out for a magazine, it was for table salt, and I'm using kosher, so I'm just kind of guessing. But if you are gonna make it and you're using kosher salt, then use a little bit more. I mean, always do salt to taste to whatever you want anyway. But if you're using table salt, there are amounts there for putting into the vegetables. And that helps these soften up, and it makes everything taste good. All right, this doesn't take that long. That's the other nice thing about having your vegetables so small. Like, less work for you, less time spent doing this, because you can get this dip together pretty quickly. All right, I'm liking that. So we're gonna add 1.5 pounds of ground chicken. Yeah, it's never gonna look good. So we're gonna break that up, and then you get this nice and brown, and you have all this chicken flavor, but it just makes the dip so much easier. The shredded chicken is never bad. I've seen a lot of dips that do that, and it's gonna taste good. And if you've got like big chips or something, it's always great. You can use rotisserie chicken, and that means that you didn't have to cook it. And if you do use rotisserie chicken and you want more of this vibe, then just chop it up really fine. But the ground chicken is nice in that, then you have chicken in every bite because it gets all nice and small and everything. All right, so this we will get seasoned as well. All right. We'll eyeball, because we're not going to taste raw chicken, so we'll check that later. But this also doesn't take very long. It's maybe 5 to 7 minutes. I guess it depends on the size of your pan, what heat you're on, and whether you're using a tiny little burner. That's really powerful. If anybody has questions or comments, you can always put them in the chat on YouTube, or you can text, and Seth will read them out and we'll talk about it. Or you can call. Oh, this is shallot, celery, and carrot. And you could absolutely use an onion. I chose a shallot because you can just basically grab like a medium one, use the whole thing. So there's like less waste. Plus I really like shallot, I use it a lot. But if you have a small onion, use it. It could be white or yellow, I guess is more closer to the vibe of a shallot, I guess. But if you have red onion, use it. You're never gonna know once you see how this dip goes together, which it means it has a lot of cheese and then gets covered with cheese. No one's gonna know what onion you used. But yeah, just some celery, onion, carrot. And then you can feel slightly virtuous. Plus, you know, obviously this is a very lean meat. That said, we're gonna add a lot of cheese. So there's that. All right, I'm trying to scrape this as I go. There's not a ton of liquid added. There's obviously buffalo sauce going in here, but you're not gonna like super deglaze this pan. So keep an eye on your browning. I developed this thing for a non-Super Bowl story, but last Super Bowl, Seth and I made and ate this, and I don't even think we watched the commercials or whatever back when, you know, the Super Bowl was being played before the pandemic started. But again, we're here for the food traditions, the food ways of the Super Bowl. All right,
The question is, if you did this with ground beef, would you need to cook it and then drain it separately?
possibly, yeah. I mean, if you use a lean ground beef, you might be able to get away with it. You still might want to like pour off some if it's greasy. If you use a non-lean beef, yeah, it's probably going to be a little bit greasy because again, we're adding cream cheese and blue cheese. And so if it's already really fatty, it's just going to probably feel like kind of gross in your mouth. It'll be too greasy. It's such a rich dish. Turkey obviously is a great swap if you don't have ground chicken. That's very similar, so you wouldn't have to. Or ground pork. I would eat buffalo pork. Never tried it. Just thought of it, but I'd eat it. Beef, I think, also is one of those things that you can totally eat buffalo beef. I'm not telling that you can't, but it's such a stronger flavor that I feel like with this, it might be like less of that iconic flavor, you know? Like obviously buffalo sauce is so strong that you're gonna taste it, but beef is so also not aggressive, but.
How high is the heat? Somebody's saying they tend to overcook their chicken, so how are you sauteing?
This is on, I'm gonna say, we'll say that that's medium, and I think that's what I called for in the recipe. Yeah, you don't want to dry it out. That said, this specific treatment of ground chicken is going to be pretty forgiving because you're just going to add a lot of flavor with the sauce, but you're going to add some liquid and then just a lot more fat with cheese, so it'll help. But probably, I would say, do it on medium. I'm going to see if my...
Did you buy the chicken pre-ground?
Yes. I just bought a packet of ground chicken. You know, it's usually with like the boneless, skinless, or sometimes people do a separate where it's like ground turkey, ground beef, ground chicken. So there might be that. Okay, I'm feeling.
Did you do this with that meatball mix?
Oh yeah, meatball mix. I guess would work because there's veal and pork in there, which are light that might offset the beef. I feel like beef. It's just there's nothing wrong with it. You can do whatever, but it's one of those flavors that like once you get into buffalo territory, everybody's used to like wings or whatever, and so you kind of want that chicken. All right, so that's done and feeling good and it's seasoned well. So we're gonna add, this is 3/4 cup of buffalo wing sauce. And obviously if you want it spicier, use more, and if you don't like it spicy, use less, but I mean, if you want it to be buffalo, you got to use some. All right, so there's that. And then we're also adding, this is Frank's. This is classic buffalo sauce. It's also really easy, really easy to find at the store. Okay, so we're mixing that in. We're coating all our chicken, and then we're adding 8 ounces of cream cheese. So this is just like, you know, one of the small boxes. And this is at room temperature, which will just help you. It melts a lot faster if you do that. So if you can remember, take it out. If not, you'll just need a little bit more time. But the nice thing about this is if it is at room temperature, like I said, it comes together very quickly. But yeah, you can substitute a lot of things in here. And honestly, if you do like, if you did cauliflower, I bet that would be delicious. Like if you're trying to not eat meat or less meat and you want to replace some of it or replace all of it, this could be like tofu and cauliflower. Honestly, the main thing of this dish comes from the matrix of cheese and buffalo sauce. I mean, the meat's good because they're used to wings, but a good buffalo cauliflower dip, probably delicious. All right, that's getting melted enough. There's still some chunks that you can see, but I'm gonna go ahead and add this is 2 ounces of crumbled blue cheese. And so that's the other classic, you know, when you have buffalo chicken wings, you get like blue cheese dip, blue cheese dressing. I'm gonna turn this down a little more because we like this amount of juiciness. So, a couple of blobs, just break them up, and then I'm gonna mix this in so that it gets all of the good hot sauce. So the blue cheese is in there, and you have the classic flavors, and then, oh, we should cut over, so, you know, this is very rich. Oh wait, actually, we'll stay here. I don't know if you're forward or overhead. Where are you at?
I'm at dipper can, but I'll come back.
Oh, I was gonna talk about it. Well, then you can head on back. I'm adding.
No, I'm overhead now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons. You can see that's like bubbling and saucy, which is great. This is 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. And this just gives it a little bit of thickening so that when you are dipping, it's honestly dippy. So make sure you get that stirred in. And then, you know, when you have heat, your cornstarch will make it nice and thick, and you'll have a good dip consistency once you're trying to get it onto like a chip or whatever. But wait, so yeah, cut over to our crudité cam or dipper cam, what we're calling it?
Dipper can.
So this is very rich. And so I'm serving it with classic flavors, like you always get carrot sticks and celery sticks, and that's also some endive or endive, however you want to say that. But it's really good with vegetables because they're light and refreshing. Huh? Oh, sorry. If you want to come back over here, I'm going to finish this thing, and then you're going to take it away. All right. I'm killing the heat here. But serving it with vegetables, makes it a little healthier, but it's also really refreshing because the stuff is very rich. And in fact, to prove my point, I'm gonna finish it with a cup of shredded Monterey Jack. So that's going on, and then it's just gonna get set under the broiler for, I don't know, 1 to 2 minutes.
What would you serve
Maybe
this with?
3. Oh, well, I'm going to serve, I can show you what I'm gonna serve it with.
Well, like if you served it with something else, some other dish or something.
Oh, I was like, I would serve it with the geez. I mean, I'm feeling this for Super Bowl, so I mean, I'm just gonna say like, serve it with chips and salsa. I mean, honestly, I feel like a good salad, like whenever I'm doing something this rich, I always want something a lot more healthy. So do you wanna take this over?
Yep.
Lovely assistant Seth. It's gonna take this, throw it under the broiler, which is already on.
Melanie says, yum, it looks so good.
Yeah, it maybe doesn't look as great when it's in the pan, but once it's covered in a cheese lid, everything looks better, so we're fine there. But yeah, I feel like the vegetable plate is a really nice way. I cut all my carrots on the bias so they're a little bit more like a chip, so you can actually get some stuff on there. And, you know, then it's crunchy, it's refreshing, feels healthier, but it's also exactly what you would get at a bar. Then you have the like blue cheese built in, and you have carrot and celery. And my pro tip for celery, peel it like you would a carrot, and then you don't get all the strings in your teeth, which is great. They're very tender. Celery has such good flavor, but like sometimes the strings, when I'm cooking with it, I just leave it and chop it up. But whenever I'm eating it with like dip of any kind, I always peel it, and it's great. Okay, so he's broiling, and then we'll have a beautiful, oh, and I'm gonna do a little garnish. I'll get rid of this business. But it would also be good with like toasts, like Melba toast, that they're very firm. Toast that you make yourself, like if you're gonna do garlic toast or something, that would be delicious. And chips.
Melba toast is Melanie's nickname.
Well, one of our viewers' nicknames is Melba toast, and that's very exciting. So then you are legally required to serve this dip with Melba toasts. But they are good because they're like very neutral, which is great because this dip is very strong. But even chips, even tortilla chips, that's gonna be good. I feel like I love Lay's potato chips, but they're so fragile, and this dip is not that. So I would say steer away from that. Stick to like a tortilla chip, which is hearty. But yeah, any of that stuff, any good vegetable helps. I mean, I would love a little, in fact, let's just show them. I would love a little bit more browning than that. As long as it's melted, it's gonna be good. But, oh, well, you have it on this camera, right?
It's on the camera.
You can't see that. No, I would love it to be more.
Yeah, hold on.
So now you can see what I'm unhappy about, and then we take it away. Well, now you just switch it back.
Yeah.
So they're not just staring at that.
Browner than that.
Yeah. So it depends on, it's like a minute or two, but it also depends on, like that pan is kind of deep, so it's going to take a little bit longer. And it depends on if you haven't moved your rack up under your heat source, it might take a little while later, but if you get it closer, it can go pretty fast. I had the broiler on high because you don't really need to cook it at this point. You're just trying to get a good bubbly cheese lid. And you know, I always like some browning. You want it to like stay put when you dig in, but it's a great one, and it for two people, because of course we're not having anybody over, so this will last a while, but it reheats really well. I mean, it is just a cream cheese matrix that is protecting everything in a glorious bit of fat. So if you don't finish it, just throw it in the fridge, and it reheats really well in the microwave, which is great. All right, you can't get too comfy. This is why people have a team when they make these things, because, you know, you need people to, well, actually we probably would have just pulled one out, but we can't. I mean, I'll take it. I feel like it could be a little bit more, but we love it. It's perfect. And then, you know, I'll give this a second to cool. If you have some scallions or chives, that's going to be a lovely thing to throw on top. But since there's celery in it, and celery leaves have so much flavor, and it's just free garnish when you have celery, that's what I'm doing. So, you know, you certainly don't have to, but it's definitely not the freshest looking. So it doesn't hurt to put some herbs or something on top.
In the middle of the table.
Oh yeah.
Don't burn yourself.
Oh.
You can stand on the
Oh. I was like, no, I can set it on this table. This table is lovely heat sensitive, but we're gonna move it over. Boop. All right, and I will continue my free garnish. And then it looks not healthy. I'm not gonna go that far. But that's not what I'm claiming. I'm claiming this is for, you know, an annual event, not every night. So that's it. I mean, this is that fast, which is great. Ta-da! We're going to say that's beautiful. I love my little garnish. But yeah, so celery leaves there. If you're using celery anyway for both the dipper and that veggie mix in the beginning, then you're going to have celery leaves. So they've got a ton of flavor. Use them. I guess that's all I got. I mean, if we got questions,
come get the
I'm
things
around.
over?
Oh yeah, we can do that. We can be like a proper cooking show. We'll slide that out of the way. So yeah, this will be dinner actually.
Let's see you guys it's not too hot.
Let's see. Oh my God, I'm supposed to eat this right now?
Is it too hot?
I mean, I'm probably gonna burn my mouth. I'll give it a second, and then I can dip something in, especially if I dip something cold. But yeah, a big plate of vegetables, then you can feel vaguely virtuous. We'll see, because this cheese lid, I'm gonna tell you, it traps a whole lot of heat. Ooh, can you see it? It's probably not reading.
I mean, it's reading, but you can't dip reading.
Oh. It's just, I can see. Oh, I can see. I meant the steam coming off of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It like released a nice wisp in there. You gotta be careful. Like, let it rest a minute, but we're gonna try this. I'm sure that sounds great, having me blow on things. These are very cold, which helps the heat. Yeah, it's delicious. It is definitely spicy. Again, if you're not a spicy fan, dial back from 3/4 of a cup. But if you don't put any in, it's gonna be a delicious chicken dip, but I feel like you lose the buffalo, and you want some of that. You want some of it. But this level is nice, could be cranked up, but I like it. I think it's great. I got no problem with this. Well, now that I'm eating it, I'm sure this chewing right with a mic right here is what the people want.
Chew mic.
It's so good though. And a little goes a long way, which is why it's definitely not going to.
How many people will this serve?
The recipe that we said serves 6. So this is like, if you're dipping, assuming that it's at a, that the serve 6 was like a party, or maybe you have a family. At this point, please don't have a Super Bowl party. Unless you have like a super pod, but, huh?
Your mic's going way static.
Oh no. But we said 6. Or it serves 2 people who are in quarantine for several days.
No, earlier I said last a while equals 1 hour.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This one's mine. I don't know what you made yourself, but I'll be eating this with this.
Melanie says, thank you, Chef Sarah.
Oh, you're so welcome, Melba Toast. I love that. Yeah, this
Someone
is.
says, looks great.
It is great. It is delicious. It's very easy, and it's so fast that I'm like, well, I mean, that's all there is. Like, it's so fast, which is great. So if you want something for the Super Bowl and you don't want to spend a long time on it, here you go. Or tonight, if you're not watching the Super Bowl anyway. Thank you.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, like and subscribe. Oh, and we're taking next week off because we assume that, unlike me, most people watch the Super Bowl. And then we'll be back in February with some stuff. We'll put a calendar on our page, I guess, somewhere. And and definitely on our socials. But I have known that not everybody uses social media. So, yeah, off next week, back in Feb. Well, I guess that is Feb, but back after.